Hey, Freaky friends! It's Michelle and Melissa from the Freaky Fridays podcast. We are sisters in separate states and love to talk about all kinds of spooky, freaky, and scary shit while drinking and laughing through our fear.
Join us Fridays as we delve into everything from the world of the paranormal to scary movies to creepy stuff we find around the internet. Subscribe to Freaky Fridays wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Sleep tight.
Make sure you leave the lights on.
Freaky Fridays is a proud member of the Podmoth Network. For more awesome pods, check out podmoth.network.
Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Hey, what's up, you guys? We are. I'm Kathryn.
Are you sure?
No, not today.
And I'm Hayley.
Every Saturdays are for the ghouls.
A Podmoth podcast.
We missed you. It's only been a week for you, but for us, it's been 2.
Yeah.
We are here for True Crime Week.
Woo!
The week that Hayley doesn't get to do anything.
My favorite week, baby. Favorite week. I just gotta sit here and look decent.
You don't even have to look decent. You just gotta sound good.
Well, you should have looked today.
So we're gonna talk to you about true crime. I've been scouring the internet to find the most perfect story that's gonna be exactly Hayley's cup of tea. And so I've done a few trial and errors. But anyway, I've been on the search for one that's just right down Hayley's alley because I don't know. She loves the cold case files and she loves solved cold cases, right?
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to go into our case. There was a girl in Normanton Lane, Keyworth, which is over in the UK, and her name is Collette Aram. At the time, she was 16 years old, and she was a trainee hairdresser, so she was in beauty school. Mm-hmm. On October 30th, 1983, at 8 p.m., she left her home to walk about 1.5 miles to her boyfriend's house. Usually her boyfriend would pick her up, but his car was not working at that time, so she had to walk. So it wasn't that far. It was a mile and a half. I wouldn't have walked it, but that's just me.
No, maybe next
week. What? Maybe we'll just talk later.
We just break up.
Yeah, we just break until his car's fixed.
Yeah.
So then at 8:10, she was seen turning onto Nicker Hill. And the reason why people know that she was on that street was that she actually stopped and chatted with some of her friends. And that was the last time anybody ever saw Collette. So after she had walked away, I guess, there were witnesses that heard a woman scream and a car peeling off. Now, I don't know what they did at that point, or if they were just it's just a woman screaming and a car peeling off, because she never arrived at her boyfriend's house. And so there were a lot of frantic phone calls to friends and family and and the police were called at 10:30 p.m. Mind you, she went missing at 8:10. That's the last time anyone saw her. So there was at least 2.5 hours between the time that she got taken to the time that she... But when they had that witnesses recalled hearing a woman scream, I was they didn't mention that. They didn't look into that at all. I was kind of shocked at that, but anyway, at 9 a.m. On October 31st, 1983, which was the next morning, they did find her body, and she was naked in a field about 1.5 miles from where she was taken. She was sexually assaulted and killed.
Wow.
Sad.
That is sad.
Okay, so at this point, once they found her body, the police began an investigation, and on June 7th of 1994, Collette's case was the first case to be featured on the BBC show Crime Watch. Crime Watch is like the British equivalent of like an Unsolved Mysteries 2020 cold case files, but they talk about current cold cases. In the aftermath of being featured on Crime Watch, the police received 400 tips, and the police were able to eliminate 1,500 suspects because, of course, they don't know anyone. So it was basically they had so many suspects that there was no way of them narrowing it down. But with the 400 tips, they were able to eliminate 1,500 suspects. But there still was no arrest that could be made. They had no idea who took her, who killed her. So the case remained cold, and 20 years later, Crime Watch featured the case again on their 20th anniversary of their show in 2004. So her case has been cold for 20 years at this point. In 2008, due to the growing forensic technology, Nottingham police were able to create a full DNA profile of the killer. It unfortunately didn't match anyone that they knew or that they had in their database, but they at least had it on file. Mm-hmm. So the police came to the public and asked people to come forward with potential suspects or people that can be swabbed to see if they can compare. And like in this case, a lot of it actually has happened that these kinds of things, these kinds of cases where they ask the public to come be swabbed because anything could be, eliminating someone or a whole group of people because they all share the same DNA, could be a step in the right direction, or, they could swab someone who, might have been related. They received over 100 calls from the public, but again, after any of the tests that they did, they still couldn't find anyone who was a match for the DNA. But in June of 2008, Jean-Paul Hutchinson, he was arrested on a motoring charge. And when you are arrested, your DNA is taken and swabbed. So that was routine for them. And his DNA was almost an identical match of the murderer of Collette. There's only one problem, is that he's only 20 years old. So,
who's your daddy?
Right. So he wasn't even alive at the time of the murder. And so because of this, police were able to arrest Paul Stewart Hutchinson, which is Jean-Paul's father, who was 50 years old at the time, in 2008. In April of 2009, he was charged with the murder of Collette, and Paul tried to blame his brother who had died back in January of 2008, but they had a vial from the hospital of his blood, and that didn't match the DNA at all. So on 10/5, or in October 5th of 2009, he pled not guilty originally, but after a pre-trial hearing, he changed his plea to guilty. Which he must, after he heard of like all the things that they had against him, probably, I don't know. On January 25th of 2010, he was sentenced to life with the minimum of 25 years. Colette's family, although they felt some sort of relief finding at least the person who killed their daughter, they kept asking him why he did it, and he refused to answer them at all. He didn't have any answer to why he did it. And on October 10th, 2010, just 10 months later, at 8 a.m., he was found unconscious in his cell, and he died later that morning while they were taking him to the hospital.
Wow.
It was rumored that he overdosed on meds, but the cause of death from the coroner was inconclusive. So, that is our cold case that was solved 40 years later.
Woo.
And that's the shortest story that we've ever had. Just
an itty bitty baby story.
Itty bitty baby story. But it's exactly the type of story you said you like, cold cases that are solved by some sort of DNA evidence that they find in the future. You did.
You did good. I liked it. It's a little shorty.
It's all I could do right now. I'm in the midst of moving and packing and doing things. In a month or so, you guys will find that our podcast becomes a smidge different because we're going to be far away from each other. We're going to be a long distance podcast. Hayley's not over it. I'm not over it.
Just starts crying on the air.
We're not going to cry on the podcast today. Maybe we'll cry on our last episode together.
Oh my god. I don't like that. I don't like imagining that. We're just here like,
I'm telling a true crime while I'm sobbing. So yeah, those changes are coming in the very near future, but we're not going to think about that because what we like to do in this family is shove our emotions down. You guys are not allowed to do that. You guys have to talk about your feelings, and you guys have to do things. Do not do what we do. Do what we say.
We are a bad influence. Do not look up to either of us.
But I mean, we're kind of cool, so like,
yeah. So like, you know, just
look up to us in like the cool way, but not like we're not pillars of mental health. Like,
I live by the pod.
Saturdays are for me.
It's like Saturdays are mine.
So I do hope you enjoyed the very short crime story. And next week is horror movie week, so that's all Hayley. Yes. So we I guess we're gonna leave you on that. We are trying to plan October for our spooky season episodes. So we're trying to see if there are any special guests that we should have on. I'm trying to see if I can make it like funsies. So we want to do some bonus episodes, some guests. If you guys have any guests that you would like to have join us, anyone who talks about true crime, horror movies, or spooky stuff, let us know. And if you have any random things that you'd want to see us do for bonus episodes, also let us know. We are open to suggestions. Last year, if you guys weren't around, we did arts and crafts, spooky games. Not like spooky like haunted games, but like we did like horror movie games. So if you guys wanted us to do anything random like that, we would love to hear your input. Also, if you have any campfire stories, please send them to us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Saturdays for the Ghouls, and then our Twitter is for the Ghouls. So send us your spooky stories so we can read them. And spooky babes, I know this was a short one, but we do appreciate you joining us for a short while. And we hope that you have a wonderful week this week. And I hope that you are able to take some time for yourself. Hayley.
I was like, I feel the glare.
We at the Pod family are all trying to get Hayley to slow down and take time for herself instead of doing things for other people. We're going to slow down and do something nice for ourselves, like take time to read your book, do a face mask. And you know what? If you were thinking about treating yourself, treat yourself. You have my permission and Hayley's permission to treat yourself.
Yes. Especially with that wallet that's not yours.
Yes. If you have a wallet that's not yours, treat yourself. But anyway, buy a little treat, eat a little snack, do something that's going to treat yourself. And we will see you
in your nightmares.
Okay, bye.